गुरुरेव गतिः गुरुमेव भजे गुरुणैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरोः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोर्मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरो. We will jump into the next concept. So before going to Kridanta's particular topic that I want to touch upon is Upasarga. All of you are aware of this. Upasarga is a prefix. So the word that is added before a particular, it's not a word actually, it's a group of letters added before a word, which either changes or we'll look into what Upasarga does. So particular usage is called Upasarga or prefixes. Upasarga Kriya Yoge is the definition given by Panini. That is, upasargas are only used mainly or only used with Kriya Pada. You don't use upasargas with Kartra or Karma Pada. It's only used with Kriya Pada. So, upasargaha Kriya Yoge. Upasargas are used along with Kriya Padas only. Now, what is the use of Kriya Pada? That is the meaning. That is the given in the next shloka. Upasargena dhatvartah balat anyatra niyate prahara samhara vihara pariharavat. So what this shloka is telling you is upasargena dhatu artha, the meaning of the dhatu upasargena balat anyatra niyate is forcibly taken away. Niyate is taken away from its original meaning. So it is telling you that upasarga has the power to change the entire meaning of the dhatu itself and take it in a whole new direction. The meaning can have a whole new change once the upasarga is added. And they have given some examples which we will look in the next slide. Also, is that the only usage of upasarga? No. Another shloka tells you that dhatvartham badhate kaschit tam anuvartate tameva vishinishtanyaha upasarga gatis tridha. So he's saying that upasarga gatis tridha. So there are three usages of upasarga. Dhatvartham badhate kaschit. Dhatu artham badhate. So sometimes upasarga's meaning change. Badhate is trouble. So the dhatu has some particular meaning, but upasarga artham badhate, it tries to change the entire meaning of the dhatu itself. First usage. Second usage, kaschit tam anuvartate. Sometimes it follows. So if the particular dhatu has a meaning, even after adding the upasarga, the meaning continues to be the same. Tam anuvartate, it continues to follow the same meaning. The third type of usage is tameva vishinishtyanyah. Sometimes adding these upasargas can enhance the meaning. So if you want to, let us say you are talking about a war. So if you just tell, if you just use tadayati, if you just give that it's beating. If you tell praharati, harati is just means to carry away, but praharati, if you are adding more exaggeration. So vishinishtyanyah, they exaggerate or accentuate the meaning of the dhatu. So these are the three ways upasargas act on dhatus. I've just given a slide to mention that there are 22 upasargas, and this is a shloka giving you all the 22 upasargas. Pra, vi, para, apa, sama, ana, ava, nisanir, dusudir, ati, prati, su, ut, adhi, pari, api, a, abhi, ni, upa. So these are the 22 upasargas. It is, if it's, if you want to learn the shloka, you can learn, but it's better if you know the 22 upasargas so that you can identify them whenever you find it. Now, just to give you how upasargas can, like as I told you, upasarga have three different ways of acting. So just to give you an understanding, I've taken this example. Harati, that is the root word. Har is the upasarga. Har is the dhatu. Harati, the literal meaning, like the base meaning of harati is take away. But when you add the upasarga sam harati is to kill or to destroy. Viharati, if you add the upasarga vi, it means to walk around. So you can see, take away has the meaning. Samharati is totally opposite, it's kill. Viharati also has a total opposite meaning of wander. Praharati is to attack. So samharati, praharati. So there are different levels of killing or attacking. So the same har dhatu can undergo changes based on what type of upasarga you add. Charati, char dhatu, charati is to walk. Sancharati is to again wander. So it is the following the same meaning. Pracharati, you are totally changing the meaning by telling pracharati is to circulate or to spread. Gach dhatu is probably one of the only dhatus that I found to go with a lot of upasargas that we saw in the previous slide. Gachati is to go, agachati is to come, totally opposite. You're changing the entire meaning. Upagachati is to approach, again you're changing the meaning. Anugachati is to follow, adhigachati is to understand, apagachati is to go away, pragachati is to attain, avagachati is to understand. So gach dhatu's meaning itself changes when you add each of these upasargas. Tishtati, stand. Uttishtati is to stand up. So you are again accentuating the meaning of the same word. Vishati is to sit down. Upavishati is also to sit down. So it is again following the same meaning. Pravishati is totally opposite, it enter. So this is just a brief interrogation into upasargas for you to know that there is something called upasarga and why it will be used. We'll use it in the Kridantha. Hence, I have given you this prerequisite knowledge about this. With that, we will jump exactly into Kridantha. That is the main topic for today. As I've told you, there are limited number of tenses in Sanskrit. You have simple present, simple past, simple future, bhuta, bhavishya, vartamana. And in addition, you have vidhi, that is order. You have lot, that is probably for blessing. And you have a particular tense only for Vedas, that is late. But in English, if you, as I've told you, if you compare the tenses in English, you have present continuous, present perfect continuous, present past perfect, past progressive, past perfect progressive. So you have so many different types of usages. So in the previous class also I have made a mention that Sanskrit is probably the storehouse of knowledge where people have taken from. But if you see this, you feel that Sanskrit has lesser number of tenses. That is countered by Kridantas. So Kridantas will be giving you those red marked tenses that you may not find directly in your lakaras, and that is why you will need Kridantas to get proper grasp of all the tenses that you need. So the first, as I've told you, Kridantas come in pairs. Usually, like you have 3 pairs of Kridantas and one group of Kridantas with 3 different types of Kridantas. So the first pair of Kridantas that you'll see is Shatra Shanash Pratyaya. So these are called Pratyaya. Upasarga is added before the word. Pratyayas are added after the word. So these are Shatra Shanash Pratyaya. These are the combinations. So this is the first pair that we will see. What is the use of like Shatra and Shanash Pratyaya? They are used for Vartamana and Bhavishyat Kridanta. So they are Vartamana Kridanta or Bhavishyat Kridanta. So they can give you both present and future tenses. So simple. So they can give you either present, simple present tense, simple future tense, and particularly Shatra can give you present continuous and future continuous tenses. So you may feel that you already have present and you already have present, simple present and simple future. That is lat lakara and rit lakara. Why will you need these? So that is mainly for beautification. So if you already have a lakara and you still have a kridanta for the same, it is mainly for beautification or probably some particular usage where you will want to write. So now we will see what are the characteristic of these Shatra and Shanash Pratyaya. They are always the terms that follow the Kartripada. So whenever you add these pratyayas, the particular word, the resulting word, always follows the subject. As I've told you, since we are talking about tenses, it means that Kridantas can create new verbs. Hence, these verbs have to follow something. If it's Kartari Prayoga, the verb should follow Kartra. If it is Karmani Prayoga, the verb should follow Karma. Hence, these two particular Kridantas, Shatra Shanash, they always follow subject, Kartripada, and hence their usage is limited to Kartari Prayoga only. You cannot use them in Kartari, Karmani or Bhavya Prayoga. And these Shatra Shanash will give you declinable forms. That is how you have Rama Shabda. Adding Kridantas can give you such Shabdas. Hence, you have different linga, vibhakti, and vachanas for each of these Shatra Shanash Pratyayas. And Shatra Pratyaya is used particularly for Parasmaipadi Dhatu, and Shanash Pratyaya is used particularly for Atmanepadi Dhatus. And once they take up these forms based on linga, vibhakti, vachana, they can also become adjectives. We will look into how these adjectives and verb forms will come up. But this is how Shatra and Shanash Pratyayas are used. This is the basic understanding. First, we will look into Shatra Pratyaya. As I've told you, it is Vartamana. So there are 2 usages, Vartamana Kridanta and Bhavishyat Kridanta. We will first look at Vartamana Kridanta, how it is used. And Shatra Pratyaya is present continuous only. It's not just simple present, it is present continuous. So it follows subject Kartari Prayoga and applies to Parasmaipadi Dhatus. It was already told. Now, the Dhatu. So let us look how Shatra Pratyaya adds on to the Dhatus. So whenever the Dhatu has a Shatra Pratyaya added to it, the Shatra Pratyaya, the only thing that remains when you join is At. And this At changes based on the Linga. So if it is Pullinga, the At will become An. So Dhatu plus An, it will be similar to Bhagavan. as Bhagavan Shabda or Pachat Shabda. So we'll look into these declinable forms. So for now, Shatra takes the form of At. If it is Pullinga, the At transforms into An. If it is Strilinga, it will transform into Anti. And if it is Napumsakalinga, it will transform into At. So I've given you these things in the bracket for you to know how to decline them. Since I've told you that they're Shabdas, you should know how to use different Vibhaktis and different Vachanas. Hence, if you know Pachat Shabda, Takaranta Pullinga Pachat Shabda, you will be able to use any Kridantha in the same fashion. Strilinga is similar to Ikaranta. Nadi Shabda, if you know, you can decline any Kridantha in the Strilinga form. Shatra Pratya Kridantha in Strilinga form. And the Napumsakalinga form is Takaranta Napumsakalinga Jagat Shabda. So if you know Jagat, how to decline Jagat Shabda, you can use the same type of usage for Shatra Pratyaya Vartamana Kridanta Napumsakalinga forms. Now, let us look into some examples of Shatra Pratyaya. Gam Dhatu with Shatra will give you Gachan. That is Pullinga. Gachanti, Strilinga, Gachat. Similarly, you have Pachan, Pachanti, Pachat, Tishtan, Tishtanti, Tishtat, Pathan, Pathanti, Pathat, Bhavan, Bhavanti, Bhavat, Pashyan, Pashyanti, Pashyat, Chorayan, Chorayanti, Chorayat, Kurvan, Kurvanti, Kurvat. So these are some of the very commonly used Kriyapadas. So I've used them to give you the different forms of Shatra Pratyaya Vartamana Kridanta. Now, as I've told you, it has Bhavishyat Kridanta usage as well. So, to mark the Vartamana Kridanta Shatra from Bhavishyat Kridanta Shatra, I have used a star for Bhavishyat Kridanta. So, whenever you see a star, it means that I've used Bhavishyat Kridanta in that particular sentence. Now, the way Dhatu, the Shatra Dhatu adds is the same, Shatra Pratyaya adds is the same, but only thing is, before the At, you always have a Shya. For example, even in your lakaras, bhavati is lit lakara, bhavishyati is the lit lakara. The same type of usage is used here where shya is extra added to the at. Hence, for pullinga, shya plus an shyan. For strilinga, shya plus anti shyanti. For napumsakalinga, shya plus at shyat. The declination remains the same. So, some examples again. Gachan, gachanti, gachat was the Vartamana Kridanta. Gamishyan, Gamishyanti, Gamishyat is the Bhavishyat Kridanta. So these are, I've used some of the same types of the dhatus that I've used. Some dhatus don't have Bhavishyat Kridanta format, so I've removed those. But whatever dhatus I have used in the Vartamana Kridanta, I've used similar ones which have Bhavishyat Kridanta usages as well. So these you have to learn to be able to recognize if it is Bhavishyat Kridanta or Vartamana Kridanta. Okay. Now, since I had told you that it is similar to, I've told you that they're declinable forms, I'll give you, this is taken from Subhashita Shabda Chandrika. Shabda Chandrika book, I have taken the screenshot to tell you what is the declinable form of Pullinga, Strilinga, and Strilinga I've not given it because Nadi Shabda everyone knows, so I've not included Strilinga here. Pullinga, as I've told you, it is Takaranta Pullinga, Pachat Shabda. So this is Pachat itself is the Kridanta here. So they have declined a Kridanta itself to give you how to decline others. So if you see in the last line, Evam Kurvan. So again, we have discussed Kurvan to be also a Kridanta. Hence, this type of declining, if you know, you can use it for any type of Dhatu for Pullinga. Shatra Pratyaya. So, Pachan, Pachanto, Pachantah, He Pachan, He Pachanto, He Pachantah, Pachantam, Pachanto, Pachatah, Pachata, Pachadbhyam, Pachadbhi, Pachate, Pachadbhyam, Pachadbhya, Pachatah, Pachadbhyam, Pachadbhya, Pachatah, Pachatoho, Pachatam, Pachati, Pachatoho, Pachatsu. So, this is how the 27 forms come into picture for Kridantas for Pullinga. Now, for Napumsakalinga. Napumsakalinga, the thing is, the first Prathama, Sambodhana, and Dvitiya have a particular type of usage, but then from Tritiya onwards, it follows Marut Shabda. So Marut Shabda is a Pullinga form. The only difference is the first three, that is the Prathama, Sambodhana, and Dvitiya Vibhaktis change. Hence, I've given you two screenshots side by side. So if you want to decline Shatra Pratyaya Napumsakalinga form, it will be similar to Jagat Jagati Jagati, He Jagat, He Jagati, He Jaganti, Jagat Jagati Jaganti. Then you have to convert it, come to Marut Shabda Tritiya. So Jagata Jagadyam Jagadbhi, Jagate Jagadyam Jagadbhya, Jagataha Jagadyam Jagadbhya, Jagataha Jagatoho Jagatam, Jagati Jagatoho Jagatsu. So this is I've given you for you to understand how to decline these forms. Now let us take some examples. Shatra Pratyaya. examples. So first we'll start with the very basic. I read. That is the most common sentence. It is not a Kridantha based. It is just a common sentence. Aham pathami. I read. Now, let us go into present continuous tense. I am reading. One more thing. We have already discussed main clause, subclause concept. Similarly, you'll have to, because Kridantas usually don't come as main clause verbs, very rarely. For example, in the final example that Abhay Krishnan sir discussed, niyojita, in very rare usages do these the Kridanta words come as the main verbs, but usually they come as auxiliary verbs. For example, I am reading. I am, that is the main clause. Reading is just, for example, I am, it is still a valid sentence. I reading, is it a valid sentence? No. So reading becomes your second verb, secondary verb. Am becomes your first primary verb. That is your main verb. Hence, in all these Kridantas, you should understand that Kridantas are used as secondary, majorly, not always, but majorly as secondary verbs, and they're all marked with green. All the secondary verbs are marked with green, and the primary verbs are marked with red. Hence, we will, by have done that, you'll come to know once you read the sentences and the translations. So, I am reading. I am. Aham asmi. Aham katham asmi. How am I? I am reading. So, for that particular reading, since it is present continuous form, you should use pathan if you're pullinga. If aham is pullinga, it will be aham pathan asmi. If it is strilinga, aham pathanti asmi. So this is why I told you the main verb will always be in the lakara form. It won't be in the kridanta form. Rarely in that particular usage, as we saw there, there you will get the main clause there. But here, if you see, all the main verbs will always be in lakara form. They'll have a lakara. They won't be kridantas. Second sentence, if you read, I read as I'm going. So what is the main clause here? I read. How am I reading? As I'm going. So that is your secondary clause with a secondary verb as I'm going. So your first primary sentence will be I read. Aham pathami. Now you should add the secondary clause, and the secondary clause includes present continuous tense and going. Gach dhatu is a parasmaipadi dhatu. Hence you should use shatru pratyaya and it becomes aham gachan pathami. Pathami is the basic word. Secondary verb will become the kridanta, and that will take shatru pratyaya. If it's a pullinga, aham gachan pathami. If it is aham strilinga, aham gachanti pathami. Any doubts in this second example? Okay. So now we will look into the third sentence. You call the crying girl. So call the crying girl is a common usage. So it's understood that you are calling someone. So you call the crying girl. So what is the main sentence here? You call. Whom do you call is not a important thing. For example, does you the crying girl make sense? No. The crying girl also does not make sense. It's not a complete sentence, but you call can make sense. Only thing is you're indicating further information of whom to call with that secondary clause. So you call is your main sentence. First translate that. You call from ahvaya, because ahvayatu, they have used load lakara because it's order, or it's someone is asking you to do something, so it's better to use lot lakara. So tvam madhyama purusha ekavachana will be ahvaya. So tvam ahvaya is your main sentence. Whom are you calling? The crying girl. So if you just call the girl, tvam balikam ahvaya, that will be a simple sentence. But what type of a girl are you calling? Crying girl. So as I've told you, kridantas can become adjectives. Crying is the adjective given to the girl. What type of a girl? Crying girl. Hence, crying becomes the adjective. Since that adjective is a present continuous tense form, hence you have to use shatru pratyaya, and since the girl is strilinga, you should use the strilinga form of shatru pratyaya. Rudan, rudantim, rudan, rudanti, rudat. That is the pullinga, strilinga, navamsakalinga form. But again, balikam. So simple sentences, tvam ahvaya. Tvam balikam ahvaya. Balikam is in dvitiya vibhakti ekavachanam. Hence, rudan, rudanti, rudat, strilinga form also should take द्वितीया विभक्ति एकवचन नदी नद्यौ नद्यः नदीम सो रुदन्ती रुदन्त्यौ रुदन्त्यः रुदन्तीम सो त्वं रुदन्तीं बालिकाम् आह्वय. You should always follow the adjective and noun correlation. Balikam is strilinga dvitiya eka, hence rudati also should be strilinga dvitiya eka rudanti. Any doubts in this sentence? We will look into the next example. He goes with the friend who is cooking. He goes, that is your main clause, because with the friend who is cooking is additional information. He is going somewhere. So that is your main clause. So he goes. Saha gacchati. Okay, I have made it as tvam. So make it. I have made some mistakes in the slide. So saha gacchati. So instead of tvam, it will become saha. So he goes. Saha gacchati. Now, what is the additional information being given? He's going with someone. And always you should know that if you are using with someone, you should use the word saha. And the characteristic of using saha is whomever you are going with, that will take tritiya vibhakti. So you know the Pani saha sakam sardam sam yoga cha tritiya. Yeah, saha yogi pradhanam or saha sakam sardam yoga cha tritiya is another usage wherein it tells that whenever you have a word called saha, which is it's an avyaya which means with, whomever you are going with, that person will get the tritiya vibhakti form. So tvam saha gacchati, saha mitrena saha, with a friend. So mitrena saha gacchati. So again, because you have used saha, mitra will become tritiya vibhakti ekavachana mitrena. But what type of a mitra are you going with? The mitra, the friend who is cooking. So that is the adjective. So cooking is the adjective given to the friend. And the friend, here we have used it as mitra is a napumsakalinga. Mitram is the word. Mitra is a napumsakalinga word. Remember, mitra pullinga is surya. So don't confuse and use mitraha. Mitram is the napumsakalinga word, which means friend. Mitraha is suryaha. Hence, mitrena saha. So tritiya vibhakti ekavachanam form. Now, you should also, since your adjective is cooking and it is in present continuous tense, you should use shatra pratyaya, you should use napumsakalinga, and you should use tritiya vibhakti ekavachanam because mitrena is tritiya vibhakti ekavachanam. So jagat jagati jaganti jagat jagati jaganti jagata, pachat pachati pachanti pachat pachati pachanti pachata. Hence the secondary verb, which is now acting as an adjective, takes the same form, that is the vibhakti and vachana, as it is in the object, that is the thing that it is following, it is describing. Hence saha pachata mitrena saha gacchati. He goes with the friend who is cooking. Now the next sentence we'll see, who is the teacher of the girls that are playing in the park? Who is the teacher is the question. Adhyapika ka asti. Who is the teacher? Asti, you can always leave it out in some usages. Even in the niyojita case, if you actually use the complete sentence, if you want complete usage, it will always be aham pitra niyojita asmi. That asmi is understood, so it is left out. But even in the first case, if you read, I am reading, aham pathan asmi. In this case, it is required. But in some cases, as in the question that we are discussing, asti can be let go of. Adhyapika ka asti is the question. Who is the teacher? Adhyapika ka asti. Now, what type of a teacher are you asking? The teacher of the girls. So, girls teacher, Shashti Vibhakti. Hudugiyara adhyapike, hudugiyara shikshaki. So, balikanam, balikayaha, balikayoho, balikanam. So, Shashti Vibhakti Bahuvachanam. Balikanam adhyapika or adhyapaka, kaha or ka. So, if it is the teacher is a pullinga, balikanam adhyapakaha kaha. If it is a strilinga teacher, it is balikanam adhyapika ka asti. Now, what type of girls are you discussing? The girls who are playing. Since playing is present continuous and an adjective, Shatra Pratyaya for playing, Kridantha. Secondly, it should be Strilinga because you're describing Balika. And that Balika is in Shashti Vibhakti, Bahuvachanam. So you should have a Kridantha for Krid, which is Strilinga, Shashti Vibhakti, and Bahuvachanam. So Kridanti, Kridantyo, Kridantyah, Nadi, Nadyo, Nadyah. Shashti Vibhakti, Bahuvachanam will be Nadinam, Nadyaha, Nadyoho, Nadinam. So Kridantinam. Kridantinam Balikanam Adhyapakah Kah or Adhyapika Ka Asti. And finally, you have to add the extra word, that is in the garden or in the park. Udyane. So Udyane Kridantinam Balikanam Adhyapakah Kah or Adhyapika Ka Asti. I've complicated the sentence as I go to make sure that you understand how Kridantas change their forms, because in the first one it was just a direct noun usage, verb usage. In the second one it was an auxiliary verb usage. From the third one they're all adjectives, and you have used Dvitiya Vibhakti, Tritiya Vibhakti, Shashti Vibhakti as well to show that all the 27 forms can be used, and this is how they can be used. Finally, I have used future tense, that is a Bhavishyat Kridanta for Shatra Pratyaya. So the sentence I have taken is, next Sunday, I will be reading for the exam. So I am reading is a present continuous, I will be reading is a future continuous tense. So I will be reading for the exam. So here, will be is the main sentence, but again, similar to the first, I am reading, you can consider it to be one single tense itself, one single verb itself. So here I have considered will be reading to be your main verb, and there is no other secondary verb. Patishyan, if you know in the Bhavishyat Kridanta examples, Pat Dhatu for Shatra Pratya Bhavishyat Kala, it is Patishyan. So I will be reading. Ham Patishyan Asmi, I will be reading. Again, you may feel that Asmi is Latlakara, but you are talking about future tense. That is how Kridantas are used. Kridanta itself will give you the tense even though Asmi is Latlakara. So Aham Patishyam Patishyan Asmi. Because Aham, here I am considered that Aham is a Pullinga word. So Aham I have taken it as Patisyan. If it is a Strilinga, Aham Patishyanti Asmi. So that will change the form based on the Linga of the Aham. Now, what will I be reading for the exam? So, Parikshartham. Aham Parikshartham Patishyan Asmi. And when will it be? Next Sunday. Agami Ravivasare. Next Sunday. Agami Ravivasare. Aham Parikshartham Patishyan Asmi. So this is Shatra Pratyaya for Bhavishyat Kridanta and Vartamana Kridanta, that is present and future continuous tenses. Any doubts in Shatra Pratyaya? And if you see all of them, okay, all of them are Parasmaipadi Dhatus. Pat, Gach, Rud, Pach, Creed, all of them are Parasmaipadi Dhatus itself. Hence Shatra Pratyaya can only be used for Parasmaipadi Dhatus only. We will conclude today's class with this pratyaya, that is Shanash pratyaya. As I've told you again, it is Vartamana, but it can be used for continuous, but it's majorly used for present. So when we see the examples, we'll come to know that it is more useful for just simple present tense rather than present continuous tense. Again, it follows subject, it is used for Kartari Prayoga, but this particular usage, pratyaya usage, is only for Atmanepadi Dhatus. So again, how it is added is, when Dhatu, you add Shanach, you get Dhatu plus An. And this An becomes Anaha or Manaha based on the type of Dhatu. For Pullinga, Ana, Mana for Strilinga, and Anam, Manam for Napumsakalinga. So this actually is a very easy declination, because for Pullinga it is Akaranta Rama Shabda, Strilinga it is Akaranta Rama Shabda, for Pullinga it is Phalam Shabda. So you don't have to worry about the Anta Linga and how to decline them. It's all simple. Now, we will look into the present continuous usage. Okay, Shatra Pratyaya, Shanash Pratyaya, save. As I've told you, all these will be Atmanepadi Dhatus. So save, Ikshate, all of them are Atmanepadi. So Sevyamanaha, Sevyamana, Sevyamanam, Pullinga, Strilinga, Napumsakalinga. Similarly, Ikshamana, Ikshamana, Ikshamanam. So you have, and if you want to use Parasmaipadi Dhatu, so for example, in the fourth line, Pat Dhatu, you know that it is Parasmaipadi. But if you want to compulsorily use Shanash Pratyaya, you should add that extra Yakara to make it Atmanepadi and then use it. So there it was Patan, Patanti, Pathat. Here it will be Pathyamanaha, Pathyamana, Pathyamanam. So this is a way that you can use Parasmaipadi Dhatus by adding that Yakara. Okay, but you should know kr, that is Karoti, it has Ubhaya. It is both Atmanepadi as well as Parasmaipadi. There it was Kurvan, Kurvanti, Kurvat. Here it is Kurvana, Kurvana, Kurvanam. So there are some dhatus that are Ubhayapadis. Those have both the form, Shatra as well as Shanash Pratyaya. Now, again, for Bhavishyat Kridanta, the same thing, you have to add that Shya. Shyamanah, Shyanah, Shyamanah, Shyana, Shyamana, Shyanam, Shyamanam. So just the same sheer addition will be there. Save, there it was Sevamana, it's here it is Sevishyamana. There it was Sevyamana, here it is Sevishyamana. So the same sheer will be added, but the that was Vartamana Kridanta, this is Bhavishyat Kridanta. Now, some more examples. Aham, I speak. Aham bruve. So that is the simple sentence that I have taken to use the lakara. Bruve. Aham bruve. Lat lakara. Now, I am speaking. Bru is the actually Atmanepadi form. Hence, you have to use Shanash Pratyaya. And Aham Bruvanah Asmi. So again, Asmi is the, it can be neglected in some cases. But in this case, Aham Bruvanah Asmi. So I am speaking. I am speaking will be your main verb. And here it's the only verb. Hence, Aham Bruvana Asmi. If it is male, Aham Bruvana Asmi. If it is female. Similarly, I've used the same correlation that you saw in Shatru Pratyaya. I have complicated the sentence. First to have only one verb, second to have only the Kridanta verb, next to have auxiliary Kridanta verb, then as adjectives. So if you see the third sentence, call the reading girl. So again, there also it was call the crying girl. Here I have used call the reading girl. And here I have used Pathyamana. So I've converted the Pat Dhatu from Parasme to Atmanepadi and I've used the Shanash Pratyaya. So Balikam Ahvaya. That is the common sentence. Tvam Ahvaya, you call. Whom should you call? Balikam Ahvaya. You call the girl. What type of a Balika? But the reading girl. So since Balika is Strilinga, Dvitiya, Eka, Pathyamana will also become similar to Sitam. Pathyamanam Balikam Ahvaya. Tvam is understood. It's in the bracket. Next sentence. He goes with the friend who is looking. So there it was. He goes with the friend who is cooking because Kopach is a Parasmepadi Dhatu. Look, Iksh is a Atmanepadi Dhatu. So I've used that particular usage. So the same rule holds. Again, I've made the same mistake here. Saha Gachati, he goes. Saha Mitrena Saha Gachati. So since Saha is used, the particular word Mitra will take the Tritiya Vibhakti form, Mitrena. And Ikshamana, the looking, which is the adjective in this case, will also take Pullinga, sorry, Napumsakalinga, Tritiya Vibhakti, Ekavachana. Phalam Phale Phalani, Phalam Phale Phalani, Phalena. So, Saha Ikshamanena Mitrena Saha Gachati. Next, again, I've used the same type of sentences. Who is the teacher of the girls? Serving the old. Serve, sevate is the Atmanepadi word. So I've used serving instead of playing. So, Pradhan. So, who is the teacher? Adhyapika ka asti or adhyapakah kah asti. That is a bare sentence. Whose teacher? Girl's teacher. Shashti vibhakti. So, balikanam adhyapikah or adhyapakah kah ka. What type of balika? Serving. That is the adjective. Hence, it is Atmanepadi. Hence, you should use Shanash Pratyaya. Shashti vibhakti strilinga bahuvachanam. So, sevyamananam. Ramayaha ramayoho ramanam. Shashti vibhakti bahuvachanam. Sevyamananam. Balikanam. Adhyapakah kaha. And whom are they serving? That is the final adjective, the final verb that you have to add. Vridhan. Whom are they saving? The old people. So, Vridhan sevyamana. Vridharannu sevisuttiruva hudugiyara Shikshaka or Shikshaki Yaru. So this is a sentence. Finally, I will meet the farmer who will be working. So I have used again to bring in the Bhavishyat Kala. I will meet the farmer who will be working. I will meet. Milishyami. So that is the, I've used a lit lakara. So that is the main verb. So I will meet. Aham milishyami. That is your basic sentence. Whom will I meet? Krishikam. So you have to use the Dvitiya Vibhakti. So Krishikam milami. Milishyami. Aham Krishikam milishyami. What type of farmer is he? He is the farmer who will be working. So Karyam Karishyamanam. Since Krishika is Pullinga Dvitiya Eka, Ramam Karishyamana Karishyamanam Ramaha Ramo Ramaha Ramam. So Karishyamanam. So Karyam Karishyamanam Krishikam Aham Milishyami. So this is your Shanash Pratyaya for present tense and future tense for Atmanepadi Dhatus. So we will conclude today's meeting with this Kridanta. We will take up the remaining Kridantas in the next class. We have been asked to conduct regular tests to assess how well we are teaching and to see if what we are teaching is being understood by the students. So that's why I wanted to finish Kridantha as quickly as possible so that we can have combined grammar exam. It's not an exam per se. It is probably a small test. It's an online test. I'll send you questions online and you can answer it online. So for that particular thing to happen, I would like you to make it a habit to type at least your in Sanskrit. So I will when I upload my video on YouTube, in the description of the video you will have a link to if you don't know how to type Devanagiri script in your mobile or in your laptop or any device that you are using to answer the questions. So you can go through that and make sure that you are ready with typing. You are acquainted with typing, because I want it to be. I'll send you, for example, if I give you a Prayoga Parivartanam, I want you to be able to type the answer and send it back to me. So that is why please check that description, check that video, or if you already know, it's good enough. But if you don't know, you can check that video that I will link in the description of the video so that you can get acquainted and answer the questions. The test will be basically to see your understanding about sandhis, because since it's a group class for Tritiya as well as Turiya, so the test will be based on sandhi. Then you will have this thing, Prayoga Parivartanam, and Kridantas. Based on how far we go by the next week when I take the test, we will have those types of Kridantas. So Sandhi, Prayoga, so mainly at least Sandhi and Prayoga Parivartanam will be the main topics. Based on if we can complete Kridantha, and we have covered some examples as well, so we can take in Kridantas as well. So, but be prepared for Sandhis and Prayoga Parivartanam. Okay, so with that we'll conclude today's meeting. गुरुरेव गतिः गुरुमेव भजे गुरुणैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरोः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोर्मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरो. राम राम राम.